This podcast contains adult themes and language. The views expressed here are our own opinions and experiences. We are not medical professionals.
In this podcast, we discuss our opinions about mental health, sobriety, addiction, and our pursuit of happiness and peace. This is Sober Mind.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm just giggling that the intro went from the bells that Judy was doing her thing, and then it went into the long violin drop.
Good morning, Good morning, Kim.
Good morning.
Nice to see you on here.
Yes.
We were just talking about you the other day. I was like, you guys heard from the Smiffles yet? Where the hell's Kim been? There she is. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Sober Mind. My name is John.
I'm Judy.
She's my wife, by the way. I realized I should start doing that and have one. I'm over here touching our guests a lot.
He's just creepy that way.
All right. And I'm Patrick, and I guess this is the way we're starting today.
That's right. Patrick, my dear friend. Miss you too, Kim. Brian.
Oh, hey, Bri.
All right,
nice.
full gang. Okay, here we go. We're going to jump into it. Lisa is not joining us today. She's joining us on chat. And so that's that. Okay. Before we get started here, I wanted to give a couple quick, they're not announcements. They're more just discussion primers. Dad is now sober 1.5 months.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, congrats to him. Michelle sent him a coin, a 30-day coin. You guys didn't even tell me about it. I didn't even know. Dad's like, did you hear I got a coin? I was like, I did not fucking hear that. Thanks. No one shared.
It was sitting on your little end table.
I'm never there. Dad took over that spot.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, today's show is going to be about forgiveness and forgetting.
Letting go.
Letting go.
Not necessarily forgetting.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I was thinking about it on my run this morning. I'm very curious, Patrick and Judy, to hear your thoughts. Babe, I kind of know where you are on this because you're a ball full of empathy. But I struggle with this one, so it's going to be a good juxtaposition of conversation, I think. All right, but before that, real quick, for those of you that don't know, we live in the Kansas City, Missouri area, and we had our Super Bowl parade on Wednesday, and there was a senseless act of gun violence there. One person was killed, a couple people were injured, and anyway, just wanted to take a moment to throw that out there so we could keep those folks in our thoughts. We had like 1.5 million people at that parade too, and it just got completely scattered. So
Yeah, our thoughts go out to those people who were affected by that.
yeah, though events like that can be pretty traumatic for a lot of people. So if you need to talk to someone, seek help and go talk. Patrick had an interesting discussion right when he came in that he had to explain to his 6-year-old and how did Beckett take it as well.
very similar. You know, they're of the age where they hadn't. It was not an easy conversation because, this is gonna get tough, and a lot of people are gonna get uncomfortable in this. But the frequency of the conversation has, you know, somebody my age, you know, has ramped up. This started, you know, when I was in high school, and it's continually accelerated, and to the point, like, you can obviously, you know, like the points of us being like, oh, we're so jaded on it, it's just we're gonna forget it in a couple days. Like, it's already out of the news cycle,
which is sad.
But with my kids, you know, the incidents have happened, and this is, you know, for them, like, we actually had to talk with them about it and help understand. And my son, for the first time, like, he realized where that place was. Like, it became real for him. And that was the hardest thing to do, because, you know, I don't want to diminish a 6-year-old being like, well, we weren't there, buddy. And, you know, it's like it, you know.
Didn't you say you were supposed to be there, though? We were going to be going?
We were going to be there. They had the day off from school. That's why there was a lot of kids at the parade. 9 of the 22 people injured by gunshot wounds were kids. And, you know, it's really disorienting. You feel confused, scared, angry. You know, it's a lot of emotions for one person to deal with, and, like, trying to teach that to kids is frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and the fact that you have to teach it to your kids.
Yeah. Kudos to you, Patrick. That's a tough conversation to have, especially for kids like yours that are kind of hyper aware and vigilant.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Why is this happening? Why are you even telling me this stuff? So,
Kim said that she was actually
I was
there, but left before, didn't go down to the rally.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad everyone is okay, Kim. Okay. Before we jump into gratitude, J-Rit, coins are, if you're a subscriber of the Alcoholics Anonymous philosophy here, well, globally, coins are celebrated at 30 days sobriety, 60 days, 90 days, and then 6 months,
2 year.
1 year, 2 year, and then so on and so forth. So it's the coin collector community. On the back, it's got the Serenity Prayer, and on the front, it says how many years or months, or they have a 1-day coin as well. So when you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, if you subscribe to that, they give you your coins.
I like the, not only does it have the prayer, but it's what is it? To thy own self be true.
True,
Yep.
yeah.
Yes.
Yep. No, Odie, the coins are not made of gold. Grant, sorry that you went through that. Grant contacted me this morning to do a reminder that we should probably mention that. I already had it on my radar, Grant. Okay, gratitude. My gratitude today is for my blessing and my curse, but I'm very gratuitous for my self-awareness. The reason I say it's a blessing and a curse, you guys know, it's like I'm always John's always with John somewhere, not able to chill out a lot of the times. So, but I do appreciate my self-awareness and knowing that sobriety and my mental health journey it's my hobby, bro. It's what I do. I love it, and I really appreciated being able to see myself grow and watch my spiritual journey unfold. And as I continue to hit more milestones, looking back on where I used to be, I really like who I've become and where I'm going. And Patrick, thank you for being here during that journey, and of course you, Judy, and to just thank you guys, because I'm not gonna lie, I would not fucking hang out with me. I just wouldn't. I'd be like, that guy is too fucking much, man. He's all over the place. So thanks for being patient. Thanks for all the friends. So okay, who's doing gratitude next?
I am just gonna repeat what both of you guys have said before, that I'm just grateful to be sober. Grateful. I'm gonna gonna plagiarize from Guy. Grateful for the opportunity to be sober another day.
Yeah.
And I'll pass.
All right. For me this week, talking about the past incident, one that I've used before, but just kind of the serendipity of life. I'm very privileged these days, and I have to recognize that. I have a work from home job, and it affords me a lot of abilities and friendships that I've helped made. Like I get to help moderate Odie's streams, and that connection has like blossomed into like a, the support communities in between coming and going, like between all the different connections that we've made. It's really impressive to sit back and just kind of like see sometimes, like if you were to lay it all out right now, you'd be like, that no way makes sense how these people got to here, to here, to here, to here. And you're just like, wow.
There's no seven ways to bacon here.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy when you start to put if you had like a serial killer map, with the ropes and the
red.
and the-
Yeah,
the
I feel
red
like
string.
Charlie Day and Always Sunny, where he's just like all strung out
Yeah.
on cigarettes, being like, no, you gotta hear it out, man.
Yeah.
Like all tinfoil.
Yeah. Man, check this shit out. It all ties back to this guy in Serbia.
Right.
We know. That's true, right? Our tinfoil hat leader all ties back to Odie in Serbia from running a Mass Effect server.
Yeah.
Now here we are. So crazy. Okay.
We did have a comment. The music's just a touch hot. If you
Just a
want
bit
to.
is it?
loud.
Yeah.
That should be better. Who said it? Odie?
Brian.
Brian?
Brian.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
That should be better. Let us know. I got a little carried
It's
away.
okay now. There we go.
Got carried away with my slider. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
We're
Odie is patient zero. Okay. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's talk about forgiveness. Do you want me to kick it off?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll talk about my struggles with this, and that is I'm gonna reference an old Metallica song. I am the harbinger of sorrow.
That's reaching into the Wayback Machine. Go ahead.
Deep cuts.
Yeah. So my problem with, not a problem, but my lack of forgiveness lies in the fact that it has this weird interplay with, what I always complain about. People are like, John, bro, just relax, chill out, ride the wave. I'm like, motherfucker, I don't know what that means. I wish I could be that person. I know some people are just like, whatever, man, whatever, forget about it. Just forget it. I can't. I work extremely hard, but it's part of my.
I just have this image in my head of like the dude being like, Shaka, bro, ride the wave. And John's out there in the middle of the ocean just punching the waves.
Yeah. Exactly. So I have it's part of my
Breaking the surfboard.
Yeah.
it's part of the psychological makeup, which has pros and cons too. It's my hypervigilance. So I thought about this last night. I was laying in bed and I did my chakra meditation, and I got done reading a book, and I was really relaxed, and I was trying to think how I wanted to articulate this, and it's very difficult for me because I work on it every day. I want to forgive and I want to let go, but as we all know, just like a lot of things in our brain, it's not just a fucking light switch that you can just hit. I carry around stuff from my preteens that I want to let go and forgive, but it's a bunch of this stuff that just sits in my closet of skeletons and remorse and shame and disgust. But Patrick, okay, full disclosure and admission time. You know how you told me, and it wasn't in confidence because you broadcast it on the air, you're like, I love getting angry. Makes me feel good. Fucking, it's my superpower. I'm kind of like that with the non-forgiveness. sometimes it'll creep in and I'll think of someone that did some shit to me, and I get this wild play out, and I just get fucking boiled over to the point where I'm like, whoa, John, fucking, what are you doing, man? I create
the harbinger of sorrow.
Yeah.
Like, I am the fist of righteousness.
Yeah.
I will deliver vengeance.
Yeah, I create a whole like revenge plot that goes really deep and, dare I say, borderline delusional, to the point where I pull myself out like, Jesus Christ, man, snap out of it. But, I play it out from beginning to end. Then I say, Knock, what are you doing? Well, you gotta forgive. There's like, you gotta forgive, bro. You gotta let it go. And I'm like, John, how do I do that? How do I?
Well,
how do I I practice and practice and practice, but, ego John jumps back out of the fucking well that I've had him buried. I told you, he's barely alive. I punch him. I fucking kick his ass once in a while, but he pops up. He's like, hey, man, you need a little bit of ego in your life right now, and I'm going to help.
Beetlejuice comes out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, ego John, thanks for your fucking input. I don't need it today, but I appreciate it.
I think that's the difference between forgiving and forgetting. You're never going to forget. Those things, those experiences are always going to be with you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to forgive either. I don't know. Maybe I'm a sociopath.
No.
No.
No, these are important, and I like the way that you're headed here, Judy. And I'm going to say this is where, for those in the program, this is where steps 4 and 5 really do such a good job for those in the program. And if you're not familiar with it, step 4 is taking a moral inventory of all your past.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what, try to do so without bias, but just laying it bare for what it is. And then step 5 is, discussing it. It's often said as going and seeking forgiveness, but in reality, it's just, sometimes it's just a conversation with that person, and you won't get forgiveness, but just, this is the unshackling yourself of those burdens. Forgiveness, as I've always said, is letting go of hope and letting go of all hope for a better past.
Because that is definitely will not change.
Yes. Like you said, it won't change. You're not going to forget it. And that's the feedback loop that we often get in. For me, it's that you mentioned shame. It was like guilt and shame were my big ones that like triggered that feedback loop, like so big.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, there's forgiveness that we give other people, but the hardest one for me is how to forgive myself for the things that I've done when I was drunk or when I was high or when I was, altered.
Harder ones are like, how do I forgive myself for the things that I did when I was sober that I didn't want to face, right?
Dang, unpack that. Let's hear.
Yeah,
what do you got? What do you got, Patrick?
Failing to be a compassionate son or brother, or failing to live up to certain expectations in your mind of what you were supposed to be or what you thought others were.
Is this while you're initiating your journey into sobriety, or after you've got, a good toolbox to deal with this?
This
stuff?
is everything. This is like, this is one of the driving factors of why I got drunk, is because, it was stealing happiness from tomorrow. So I didn't have to live with the guilt of today. Right. And hey, I forgot, I told my friend that I would do such and such thing with them this weekend and spaced out with them because I was so drunk. I don't know how to process that, so I'm just going to get drunk again. Right. Or, I forgot to call my parents and wish them a happy birthday, or, like I missed Father's Day this year or whatever, and be like, you're such a piece of shit. And like time to get wasted. And then
so we don't have to deal with that. It'll go away.
It's just like, it's just like the kid, stuffing the toys under the bed, I'm supposed to have my room clean. Parents are coming in any second. Just stuff them all under the bed and just deal with it later. Right.
Eating the candy and stuffing the wrapper underneath your pillow.
So yeah, I mean, that's the guilt and shame. And it's just a monster that just feeds back onto itself because I can't process it. And I see a lot of people, especially in the stop drinking subreddit. This is like another one of those points when we talk about the work. It's like, hey, I've been sober for a month or two, and like, but how do you? I'm not sleeping now because I replay back these memories in my mind, or like, how do you forgive yourselves for the shitty things that you did while you were drunk? And this is where the forgiveness has to come in first, is letting go of all hope for a better past. Meaning, when Harbinger of Sorrow shows up, when my anger Hulk shows up, we've talked about it. I don't have a Hulk on the opposite side ready to beat him down. You can't beat Harbinger of Sorrow into submission. You can't make Harbinger of Sorrow feel guilty for showing up. He's like, all right, thank you for fuel for my next revenge plot, asshole. You're gonna have to tell him, like, you see him and meet him, like, hey, I see you looking out for me, for self. Like, you were so passionately angry that John got hurt, that you're willing to go to all ends of the earth to exact revenge. Like, I see that you fight for him that strong. But that is not the path that we are going to choose. Revenge is like holding on to a piece of coal, a hot ember to strike your enemy at the right time. In fact,
all you're doing is burning yourself.
All you're doing is burning yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
I find that trying to forgive other people for hurting me is, I don't know if I'm actually forgiving them or just pushing them off to the side. Because it's easier for me to just push them away and not have any interaction with them than to deal with them one-on-one. Because then I'd have to deal with all the shit that I did, that all my garbage starts to come up. And my first reaction is, no. I don't want to do.
And that's, well, part of that's okay too,
Yeah.
And Ted Lasso when Jamie was like, if Ted asked, like, if your dad was here, what would you say to him? He's like, fuck you. Is there anything else that you'd say to him? He's like, yeah, I love you. Or, and it went to the point where, like, it's the precursor to that conversation started with, like, if hate's not doing it anymore, then why not forgiveness? And he goes, I don't want to give that to him. Right. And he goes, well, it's not for him. It's for yourself.
Yes. That is the key right there.
So it's not absolving the person of, like, all sins or trying to forget or not holding them accountable for their actions. What it's giving you is the grace to let go and not let that be your burden of shit anymore.
The peace of mind to know that they are who they are.
Yes.
They're going to be who they're going to be. And just to...
So that's the hardest thing.
I understand you, but
I carried around, like, an old saying, like, I was a believer in karma and everybody will get theirs. It's just a shame I may not be around to see it. When some of them deserve it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So too with that Harbinger of Sorrow concept. Like, he is so angry. He's like, I will make this right. I will exact revenge. It is my responsibility to demonstrate to you that the world is within our control. And you know what the scary part is? When you say, it's all right, Harbinger, I forgive you, you have to admit that's not in our control. And I don't have to carry around this baggage. And it sucks. That person may go on and live they're going to fall ass backwards in the money tomorrow and be completely validated for their shitty actions. And that's out of your fucking control. And it sucks. Harbinger has to sit back and say, like, John, if he just would have let me do my job.
If he just would have let me get him.
I can inflict so much pain.
Yeah.
Ego wants to be so right. And it sucks to back him down to say, like, look, you're not in control of the world. And it's not your revenge story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're expending energy carrying around baggage that is not yours. Now you have this whole play in your head. I'm going to be the hero or the anti-hero. I'll be the Punisher and go and execute all this stuff and be the bad good guy and get all my revenge. Like, what about the guy in the corner in your head going like, what about just not wanting that? What about wanting a better life? And what about just like wanting to be happy? Where's that attention? You're taking away like an opportunity to grow your garden.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You're just kind of salting it at that point.
Those things I think in my head, those things are things that are taking up space that I want for other better things in my life. Those angers, those frustrations, that hate, that revenge, that's all taking up space inside for things that could be awesome in your life, like the happiness and the joy and the all the good things in your life. That
gratitude.
Yes, there we go. Those other negative feelings are just taking up wasted space.
So I hear that and I get it real quick. Brian has corrected us. The song is Harvester of Sorrow.
Harvester.
Yes.
I like it. Thank you. We're people are like freaking out.
I know, but
they're screwing up the lyrics.
Yeah, but it's I don't harvest it. I harbor it. Anyway. So a ton of good discussion in the chat, and it seems to be the common consensus is that it's important to try to forgive, but always remember, because that's how we learn important lessons.
Yes, never forget. You're never going to really forget those things. They're going to be there, whether you bang your head against the wall or not. It's being able to forgive that and move past it, grow past that. You're never going to forgive it, though.
Evolve.
Yes.
Yeah. So I talked about that Ted Lasso and Jamie and his dad relationship. I feel that a lot, and the thing was like, he wasn't absolving his dad of anything that he did. It's recognizing just who he is.
Yeah.
That's just going to be his dad. And with that comes like a liberation, and I applaud the group for pointing out like it's not forgetting, and that is the most important point. But like, so too a new relationship can begin, and this is the important part of forgiveness, is to say like, Jamie had to realize that he sought his dad for validation and expected to be a certain way and needed to be this, and when he realized that couldn't happen. Like that's the step on the journey of him learning how to do that himself. Right? When you're angry about that revenge, you have to find a new way to cope. I think it's important. I'm going to even say something. I think it's important to have that anger because at first and I'll always say this, but our interactions with emotions and situations is always some amalgamation of the bereavement process.
And that anger can be very protective.
Anger is first. Well, you can happen. They can happen in certain order, but anger is listed first in the process and
it can be very protective.
Yes.
So do you feel like you can? Do you feel like you know the difference between forgiveness and?
I do.
Forgetting?
I do. I have a lot to continue to work on myself with this in particular, because I think it maybe lies at the root of me not being able to forgive myself still. And I don't.
That's the hardest one.
Yeah. I'm working on it. I know we all are. Again, I'm a fresh, nubile baby with purple skin from my sobriety. Yeah, from my sobriety. I'm only 2.5 years into it, and I never had the capacity when I was drunk to delve into these emotional catacombs.
Well, yeah, well, that's why we drank, was to smother all these emotional categories.
Yeah, I don't
Drown them, I should say.
I don't think I ever consciously did. Like I don't want to remember this or whatever. I'm gonna get fucked up. It wasn't that. It was. You know what? Maybe it was. If I'm being honest with myself, I think at a subconscious level, or at a conscious level, I would tell myself I always like to just keep the good times going and be happy, and that's why I celebrated with alcohol. But at the end of the day, I was trying to explain this to someone the other day, and that's like, do alcoholics just stay drunk all 24 hours a day? It's like, well, no, but there's you got to think of your brain as a muscle too. The majority of the time you're not sober. You could be sober, because this whole thing came up like, did you show up to work drunk all the time? Like, that's not, no.
Sometimes work was welcomed because I got to bury myself in that and pay attention to other things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But sorry to cut you off, Patrick. It's trying to explain to someone that you're with that muscle of your brain, you're never in recovery mode. Just like when you're working out, you're getting drunk and then you're sober, and then you're getting drunk and you're hungover, and then you're drunk and you're hungover, and you're never giving yourself the care and feeding of the emotions. So it wasn't until I went to therapy and seeing a psychiatrist that I realized that, oh shit, the hard drinking since I was 20 years old, so for 30 years, never really allowed me to space to process any of that stuff. There's so much, former marriage, 30-year-old daughter, an entire gene pool of mine has been wiped out from opiates and or alcohol that I never got to really have conversations with and or about. So I'm getting there, but I got to continue to paint the pretty tree of me.
Well, that's the whole thing. Life is going to keep going, and this process of learning how to forgive and how to let go is difficult for one, and it's probably ongoing.
Yeah.
Yep. Forgiveness is not like a transcension, like into another plane or reaching enlightenment. You're like, oh, I forgave myself once and I'm done. Right?
Wait a minute. Let me roll out my laundry list of stuff I need to forgive myself for.
And then it's also, like, I want to give credence to what you're talking about with the emotions and alcohol. It's not like, and this was a hard thing for me early, is some people would ask, like, well, do you drink to escape, some of your feelings? And you'd say, yeah, fuck no, because it's not like you get done and you're like, oh man, that was a really hard day. I can't process this shit. Give me a drink. And then you think it's like that every time, but it's not. And here's what's so insidious about that. Your brain fucking knows that. Mm-hmm. Meaning it doesn't even let you get to that point. It just goes kind of these like, oh, I got some weird things going on inside. Like, it's going to trigger you for a desire to drink before you can even recognize, I don't want to deal with this. Mm-hmm. The brain goes, well, I kind of know, this is like some unknown area. We're just going to kind of detour and just like go into this stasis mode, pickling. There's a reason why I call it pickling our emotions, because if it wasn't drinking, I was burying myself in projects or work or something else to avoid dealing with certain emotions. And those habits were driven by that avoidance mechanism. And that avoidance mechanism is so strong that it buries what you're trying to avoid to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Because if it was so obvious of like, oh man, this is making me feel like not good, I'm going to have a drink. If it was that apparent, at some point you'd be like, well, I think there's something going on here. But the reality is it's so insidious that it keeps you from getting to that point. Like, it's just buried in such behavioral mechanisms.
Yeah, the hard part is to when you feel that slight little bit of uncomfortableness, you have no clue what it is. It's just you feel there's like an itchy wool sweater. The hard part is to sit down and get quiet and really find out, okay, why am I feeling like this?
So that's for me where forgiveness began. Early in sobriety was like when those itches came on. This too shall pass is a form of forgiveness for me, knowing that this state is not forever. Right? Meaning, I don't have to hold that state as the absolute, like, this is it now. This is the end times, right? Like, if I'm going to have trouble trying to connect this, but I hope people can understand why this is forgiveness in my mind. Like, with my mind, it was so impulsive. Like, whatever state you're in is almost like a solid state. Like, I'm not feeling angry. I am angry. I am the harvester of sorrow, right? Like,
get it right.
Yes, I am. Like, this is me now. Like, this is forever before and forever after. Like, that is the entire state of being. That's how strong those emotions are. But for allowing forgiveness to say, like, that's not you, that may be how you're feeling, but that's not you. That's not, like, you don't have to hold on to that identity and grasp so strongly to that. Like, so it was my first permission to let go of things out of my control. I forgive you for being angry or scared right now or confused about, what's going on. Just breathe. Just breathe. Forgive yourself enough to just ride the wave.
Don't break this.
Here we're not out there punching the waves. You didn't, and it starts. You didn't expect this one. Try to Stuart Smalley it or Bob Ross it. You didn't expect this wave. It came up on you. It's all right. You're not gonna punch your way out of this one.
We're just gonna roll.
You've been doing such a good job throughout the day, and this was unplanned, and it is what it is. But we know it won't be this way forever. In fact, just grant yourself the grace to ride this out for 10 minutes and see where you're at there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only consistency in life is change. Which, by the way, I do have to say, you have gotten much better on letting things kind of just roll with little bumps in the roads. Before, when we were in our alcohol-infused state, little bumps in the road would really jar you. And you've gotten so much better at just rolling with the punches.
Yeah, I have noticed that too. That feels good. Thanks for acknowledging that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, it's either it's so intriguing how much we clasp. So either those bumps in the road are really jarring and disorienting, or, especially with our personalities, they become the new thread to, like, obsessively pull on, right?
Either
like
that or it's the pressure cooker and it's just that one little release and whoosh, there it goes,
so Either way, we're so fragile that we were either bound or pushed around by other things. And your equanimity now to, maintain awareness of your own state of being and project that outward, you've done a hell of a lot of work, man.
Yeah. I appreciate the acknowledgement. So for the past 2.5 years, I've really been trying to, you guys know, subscribe to the philosophy of loving fate. That took me a while to, I got it tattooed because I like the reminder of it. And that is, it's an old Greek philosophy from Marcus Aurelius. And that
he's Roman,
not Greek, whatever.
Okay.
I'm no philosopher. He was a great Stoic.
Yes.
But that's a difficult one to practice because it's happening for a reason. It's happening for a reason. But it helps me get through the day better because I've always had the inherent control factor.
I think that's another form of letting go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Touche. So it is. But
it absolutely is.
Yeah. And it has, comes with what we've talked about before, Patrick and Judy, and that is being curious about life. That's been fun to be able to do. And that is, I've had hiccups with my professional life in the past, and I share those with you, Patrick. And then I really have to take a minute to sit back and go, well, it wasn't meant to be. And I know that's downward dogging it sometimes, you don't want to. I don't want to get too lackadaisical about it. Of just fuck it, whatever happens, happens. Because that's not how life should. You got to put some work into it. But I can't control everything. You know the irony
You
of
can you can control yourself.
Yeah.
You can control your emotions. It's not what happens on the outside, is how you respond to what happens on the outside.
Yeah.
Yes, that part. I want to be very clear. That's the part where the control comes in, because when people say you can control your emotions, like when I was younger, I thought like, well, I'm just gonna Spock my way through life, you know, like I'm just gonna like be devoid of everything's logical. Just strip myself of emotional reaction, I'll be fine. And so when those strong emotions came up and be like, what are you doing? You're not Spock. What are you doing? What are you doing? You know, it's like, and you try to fight them, right? Same with the harvester of sorrow. Can you be curious when that person shows up? Because the point of control is like, I'm not trying to say validate them showing up. Can you forgive them showing up? Meaning your control is within your actions. You don't, because they showed up, that's not a bad thing, right? You can't control that. When certain emotions arise, they're there. They're apparent. Sometimes they're out of your control, but what you can control is your response to stuff like that.
I also think that to go back on the creativity, you can't really enjoy creativity, because being able to enjoy creativity is opening up and letting go of control.
Yeah.
You're allowing yourself to be open to receive creativity, to receive, you know, those inspirations. And that is a form of letting go.
And living in the now.
Yes, very much so. And living in the now.
Yep. I've been practicing a lot of it. Like Michelle says, sometimes there's a rogue wave. That's true.
Yes. I want to know if anybody out there, or if you guys have any advice for forgiving yourself.
Yeah. There's two. I carry around a couple things. One is very similar to John's fake quote. Mine is, you know, comes from the movie of Princess Mononoke, but it's, one cannot alter their fate. They can only rise to meet it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And the other is kind of dark for forgiveness of self, is you are the only caretaker of you. Meaning it's nobody else's job to do it, and that can seem very lonely and very stark and very sobering, you know. But if I'm not going to do it for myself, then who the fuck is going to do it?
Very true.
Right? So it gives me this, like, that helps instill a sense of, I'll say reality, but understanding that this life is not forever, you know, and that
Transient.
it's, yes. And my charge, that gives me the power to realize that my present action is the most important and requires my utmost attention. And if that is driven through the vessel of myself, then that is my stead. That is my charge. You know, I have to take care of self in order to do that. And that, it may seem kind of mechanic to be like, forgiveness is part of being human, but forgiveness is part of, you know, me being human.
Yes, human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. That's kind of a weird way to look at it, but like,
no,
it's a good reminder.
Yeah.
I'm putting that in my toolbox. I earlier when you were talking, Patrick, I drifted off into the past for a moment. I wasn't ignoring you. I was just realizing that
I've never done that on the show whatsoever, in any realm whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, because none of us ADD or ADHD do that at all.
I think it's so, you know, what we're talking about in the beginning about how worlds and galaxies collide and how things happen. I'm very proud of you but I laugh at the fact that I've created so many different variations of you in my world. And that is when I first saw you at work several times in passing, I had no idea who you were. Every time I'd walk by you, but like, look at this fucking asshole. Who's he think he is? He's got his, you know what my perception of you was? Like, this guy's got it all together. Fucking walking around.
Told you wrong. I didn't have shit together, man.
I know. Who does he think he is? Telling everyone he's the best. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Strange how we create those realities within ourselves. To err is human. To forgive is divine. That's right. Family.
Now, do you think that forgiveness of somebody else can only happen if you are able to forgive yourself?
That's a good. I would almost, in the true
No,
sense.
I'm not talking about just plain old forgiveness. I'm talking about true forgiveness.
In
Deep
the
down
in the true
forgiveness.
sense of the word, I believe that's true, because otherwise you're holding on to something else. But that shouldn't keep us from trying.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Because
I agree with that,
it's not going to be perfect. You mentioned the times of forgiveness where you have to just provide some separation from
yes,
it, right?
Yes, definitely.
Not all of our actions have to be completely altruistic. They can be in, protective nature,
Or selfish.
or
Yeah.
selfish.
Yeah.
The point with that is, if they are, recognizing that maybe they are, right? Like, this is step 4, like laying bare of all your debts and all your moral inventory. Like, look, I gave that person forgiveness, but in reality, I just needed separation from them because that was either a too toxic relationship or I found myself responding in a certain way.
Yeah.
That's okay if it's not like, oh, I didn't 100% forgive them. I'm not an angel. I'm a fucking piece of shit. Like, look,
The worst.
it is what it is at that point. I needed that separation because I don't have that toolkit to deal with it.
Yeah.
I
think one of the things that helps me.
Don't read that, Patrick.
I'm having trouble reading today.
Lisa made me lose my complete train of. I got a fortune cookie once that said to err is human, to rub it in divine. And then Fem got me. John found that funny. All right, back on track.
So one of the things I think that helps me is when I'm going through that inventory of all of my train wreck moments, is to pick out individual ones that pop into my head. Not all of them, and it's usually in the shower because that's when I do my best thinking. When they come into my head, remembrances of stuff that I did that I'm really, really not proud of. I take that and I pull it out and I look at it and then I say, you know what, that was a pretty shitty thing to do, but it happened in the past and you have to let that go.
Another one is if, in my head, I have been known to give personalities to certain feelings and things. A way to understand self-forgiveness for me early too was like, there in Buddhism, I was told that there's talk of like understanding Buddha's love is that of a mother's love, like meaning if I had an issue I was feeling guilty about, a way I could reflect on it and be like, what if your best friend came up to you and said, like, I'm struggling with this. I did X, Y, and Z. And I literally played it out as my scenario and put it with somebody I identified as a best friend or a caring loved one.
What
and
would you tell them?
Well, I'd be like, yeah, I'd help. I would, of course, the fixer in me can see that. And I'd be like, well, you just need to like forgive yourself and do X, Y, and Z and like let the past be past. I generate all these ideas of like working through it, right? And then to reapply it to me, that's the harder step, but being able to do the exercise of like removing ego, removing the vision of self. Like, if it was not me in these actions and you put it on somebody else, how would that look?
Yeah.
Could you forgive that person?
Now, what would be the problem or the issue if you don't feel that you deserve that forgiveness?
Nice question, babe.
What would be the problem if you couldn't forgive yourself?
You felt like you didn't deserve forgiveness, that you needed to stay in that state of accusation.
That's
you
it.
needed to be punished.
Yeah.
Yes.
That you were committed to living, being condemned to this life of pain.
Yeah.
And that you're willing to go out in a blaze of glory because you are not worthy of love.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
That lives in the self-esteem realm that we
very much so.
Yeah. That comes from our tormented nurturing in our youths. It does for me. That's that all plays with it now that we're talking about it. It's
Excuse me, did you say 2 Utes? I don't know how we
Another
have
jump
conversation
into the
at
Wayback
times.
Machine.
yeah. Self-esteem.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And with that, that is really hard because I know that pit is very deep, and I know that it exists. And
I've been there quite a few times where you just I feel like I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve love. I do not deserve any of that. And it's a miserable place to be.
I don't know if there's anything immediate to, and to my last point, like, listen to the dialogue that you're saying there. And it seems like the further in we go, the further selfish and I driven we get. I don't deserve this. I deserve to be punished.
Yeah.
There's probably nothing immediate to process that, but this is where service comes in. And my last example of like
helping others, you mean?
You may not be able to forgive yourself, but could you forgive somebody else?
That's a good one.
And if I'm not saying it's your job permanently to forgive somebody else, but like a muscle to be trained, you're going to have to start somewhere.
It also takes you out of that I.
Yes.
Because you're focusing now on somebody else outside of yourself.
Obviously, ego is so paramount there. I've always talked about, these 12-step or whatever programs. The first part is breaking of ego, meaning of like, we use it for a reference point and we're so involved into it. It becomes the world that we know, and then it's not. Like, it's part of our world we know. It's just not the entire world. And so that's the first thing, is to get rid of that. And it's not a coincidence that, those people are like that. I deserve this. I need to be punished. It's not a coincidence that the first step of the 12-step program is what it is. Relinquishing over to a higher power. Right. That turns many people off, but it's there because the higher power thing. And I've also talked about this. Like, I think the true power in that statement is the breaking of ego, of building a reference point outside of oneself.
Right.
That's another reference to letting go.
Yes.
Is letting go and letting
taking power away from ego.
Yeah. Yep. Letting go.
Yeah. It's been a fantastic discussion.
I also feel like, back to your original story of like the harvester of sorrow, when they show up, it's a goddamn Scooby-Doo skit. Like, you're like, harvester of sorrow, you're wrecking my life, and you go up to them and pull off their mask. Who are you? And it's like ego underneath. And you're like, oh, I fucking knew it all along.
Yeah. Wasn't for you, self. Creepy old self.
Right.
God damn it.
I think one of the comments was that self-care, is from Denise, is self-care is not selfish. And I think that is a very good denotation, is that it's not selfish. You're taking care. You are the only person that can take care and make you happy. Happiness is a choice, and you're the only one who can make that choice. Nothing outside of you can make that choice for you.
Yep. If I'm my own worst critic, what happens if I'm my best cheerleader?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's yeah.
I wanted to double back real quick before we start to wrap it up. And that is, we were talking about the self-awareness and being your critic and all of that stuff, and how you used to. I've noticed a huge change with you too. You used to live in the mental body of the 17-year-old girl on Hermosa Beach.
Oh yeah.
For the longest time. And what I mean by that is, I'm not calling out anything that we haven't talked about, but your self-esteem is driven by a former reality of
Very much
several
so.
decades ago. And that
Very much
is,
so.
why in the hell do I still not weigh 120 pounds and look like that girl on,
Well, you can still see mine on there. I'm wearing black and it's still impressive.
But
Yeah, it did. It revolved around that past reality for a long time.
yeah, it's taken us a while to go, oh yeah, we're fucking 50 years old. So
Yeah, I'm 52. I'm not going to be an 18-year-old person
yeah,
anymore.
but we started this channel with talking about mental health and sobriety, and it's been such a long time now since I've had a major depressive episode, so pat on the back to me. But I always stay on top of reading about anxiety, anything I come across, panic, anxiety, and depression. Take some of it and I leave some of it, depending on who the prescriber of these philosophies are. But the one that I've really come to appreciate is the fact that, when you're depressed for long periods of time, it has a physical alteration on your brain. It literally shrinks brain volume that you can't get back. So it's unhealthy.
Give yourself some forgiveness there. Some
Right.
grace.
Yeah,
So-
it's holding on.
Your muscles have atrophied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your brain.
Holding on to hate and holding on to revenge and the need to, all those negative stuff has a physical reaction, a physical detriment to the body as well.
Yeah. But where I'm going, you're right. Where I'm going with that, I'm not being
you're
dismissive. I
fine.
want to keep my train of thought. And that is that the good therapists will tell you that this is easier said than done, but it's so fucking simple. And that is, the more and longer you have negative feelings, the more and longer you're going to be in stasis of those negative feelings and emotions. So this is where it is important for you to acknowledge that and to be able, again, easier said than done, but to pull yourself out and go, hold on. I'm not going to sit here and think these thoughts. I'm going to think happy, positive thoughts, and then, get up and move your body and start to snap yourself out of that stuff and realize.
Well, it's true that when you've got those negative, the more and the more you think about those negative things. Well, the opposite is true as well.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's like, duh, yeah. think happy and you'll be happy. No shit. But man, it's we wake up some days and just like, fuck.
Did you see Mr. John Stewart's back?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to co-opt one of his closing statements. It was like, look, the next 9 months for American politics is going to be a fucking mess.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to talk
Shit
about
show.
the importance of election day. And he goes, this is not the most important day. It's the days leading up and it's the days after.
That's right.
Right? Your value is not contingent upon who wins and doesn't win, and you're not going to be validated when was or who wins. It is a lunch pail job to show up day after day to help create the world that you want to see. And I love that speech because I don't own the actions of others. The best I can do is lead and model the way, right? And it's showing up every day. And so too with mental health, like we want some glorious validation, like it's going to be all right, or you're going to be, I don't know, we're seeking validation in something or avoiding something, right? If only my dad said this, or, my loved one needs to see me do this and I need X. You know what? You got to show up every day and fight for yourself. Like you're the only one that can do that. right?
And I think forgiveness is the same way.
Yes, absolutely.
It is a daily job that you have to do, whether it be forgiveness of somebody else, some situation, or yourself.
Yep. Everything that we talk about here. Yeah. Thank you guys for that reminder that it's not, sobriety doesn't like grant fixing everything immediately, right? And learning how to forgive a certain thing, it doesn't happen immediately. It's a process.
Mm-hmm.
Show up every day, and you have to invest in yourself. And I said this, like, the hardest part for a lot of people is just getting over the, understanding that you are worth it. You are fucking worth it to invest in every day.
Mm-hmm.
You are worth it.
Yep. And you are loved, God damn it. Okay, let's get ready to wrap it up. Holy man, look at our chat. It's been insane. Okay.
Thank you guys so much for chatting and being. This is awesome. Just fantastic.
Yeah. Hello, Marshall. Welcome to the show. Okay. Sorry, I got sidetracked by his
comment.
Kim, I spotted Gollum. Up there. Okay, let's talk about some administrative stuff that hey, focus, both of you.
Sorry, I got wrapped up in the chat. Sorry.
Okay, real quick before we wrap it up, we have had a crazy amount of support in the channel. It is becoming mind-boggling. We're at 1,400 subscribers. That's 1,400. I like hearing that.
So happy.
We have some activity going on in the Discord. Cujo had mentioned that in our future show topics, that he would like to hear our stances on dealing with prescribed mental health topics around, psilocybin.
Ooh. Yeah.
Non-conventional
MDMA and other
ketamine, stuff like that. So maybe we'll queue that up for like a good month out from now, because I would like to do some research on that.
Yeah.
But remember, go into our Discord.
If you guys have any ideas.
Yeah, the future show topics. Someone on one of the shorts this morning, he has his own mental health and sobriety channel. He commented. He's got a couple hundred subscribers, and I subscribed to his channel, and I said, hey, if you'd like to be a guest on the show and share your journey and maybe do a collaboration, that'd be pretty intriguing. So we'll see what happens with that. But we got a bunch of other topics queued up as well. So we'll figure out what we're going to talk about next week. The week after that, I'm going to be post shoulder surgery. So I don't know. I think so. The nerve block that the doctor's going to give, he said it's good for like 48 hours. So I might be sitting here in a sling, not even feeling it. Hopefully it doesn't wear off mid-show, and I'll just be like, yeah, everyone's like, fuck, I gotta go. But anyway, we'll see. Okay, one of our biggest supporters on here, Odie, the OG. Be sure to check his Twitch stream out at ODN7 on Twitch. He's having his, what is it today? 300?
300.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3 multiplayers.
Nice.
Yep. So we'll get ready to wrap this up so everyone can go join that. Okay. Final thoughts, closing arguments.
No, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening in and subscribing, and we really appreciate all the support and love watching and reading the chats. It's fantastic.
Yep, keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it.
Life's a garden, dig it. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for the support.
Be kind to yourself.
See, J. Rit said a mushroom trip led to my sobriety. There you go.
I often talk about modality and the importance of finding it. So, it'll be interesting to what we talk about for that conversation.
Yeah, I look forward to it. But you want to cue that up maybe for next week, or?
I'm game. I'm riding the wave, John.
Okay, let's do that. Tune in next week. We're going to talk about alternative treatments in mental health around psychedelics and whatnot. Sound good? All right. Thanks for the talk.
Yeah. Yes. That sounds great.
All right. Bye, everyone. We love you. We'll see you next time.
Be kind to yourself.
Be patient with yourself.
And you are loved.
God damn it. Bye.